Master Carter introduces Alicia to Roll and says she is his new sister. He stares at her angrily as she greets him, and she is frightened. Carter says Roll has grown up with poor behavior because he lost his mother at a young age and neglected school. He takes Alicia to her room, and Roll begins regaining memories of his past. He was a 20-year-old university student who got caught in a traffic accident and died. He reincarnated into a game he played and is Roll, the game's main antagonist. He remembers that he will be stabbed to death by Alicia in 10 years. Roll reads a book and says there are few lines of reasoning as to why Alicia will kill him. He says he can stop bullying her, but can't change the fact that her dad died for his. Roll panics as he says there is nothing he can do about his impending death. He wonders what a child like him can do and says transmigrators usually have a cheat ability. The system suddenly opens in front of him and he is surprised that it exists. It is his user interface and he goes through his stats. Roll sees that he is on the lowest tier and has extremely weak skills. He asks the system to show him other things and it shows him the point and the coin shop. He sees there are a lot of items, but their prices are extremely high. The system gives Roll an emblem of glory and it grants him a low level of charisma. He decides to use it on someone and a maid named Anna passes by. Roll walks to her and asks if she is tired from all her work. He hugs her as he says he just read a scary story about children being eaten by werewolves in the Choron forest. She says these stories are just to scare children, and Roll apologizes for being mean to her. Anna is surprised by his sudden change, and she agrees to forgive him. Roll sees that he is gaining a lot of affection points for being nice to Anna. He is happy and says he will use the charisma of Alicia. Roll and Alicia sit in the dining room, and Alicia avoids looking at Roll. He introduces himself as her brother, but she addresses him in a formal manner. Roll wonders what he must do to gain her affection, and Anna walks in with her cutlery. Alicia is scared as she sees the cutlery, and Roll remembers she is scared of sharp objects. Alicia is meant to be the radiant light, but she had a terrible childhood. She received a high-tier healing ability, and her injuries healed almost instantly. Alicia became the target of other nobles because of her ability, and she became afraid of sharp and bladed objects. Roll realizes he has an opportunity, and he needs to help her and gain her favor. Alicia is scared and says she can't let Roll and the others find out. Roll tells Anna that Alicia cannot use a fork and knife properly and asks her to move his seat beside Alicia. He decides to help her eat by feeding her, but Anna says she will do the task. Roll insists on feeding Alicia and says she is his sister. Alicia eats the food he puts in her mouth and suddenly begins to cry. He asks why she is crying and if the food tastes bad. Alicia says the food is tasty and thanks Roll as he receives 1,000 affection points. He is shocked as he sees the number of points he receives and instructs Anna to get all the tasty food she can find. Anna gets the tasty food and gives Roll as he feeds Alicia. He receives more affection points from her, and Anna wonders if Roll has changed because he has fallen in love with Alicia. She watches as they talk, and Alicia appears to be happy as he helps her. Anna is happy as she says affection between children is cute. Roll returns to his room and says it's been a long time since he has been happily eating. He wonders how he could send Alicia away in the future and says she is pretty. Roll has gathered enough points and decides to purchase an item in the point shop. He discovers something extraordinary and sees the skeleton pallbearers. Roll goes to a Skart spirit trading house and says it is spacious. He purchases the skeleton pallbearers from the affection tab, and the system asks if he is certain he would like to purchase the item. Roll insists and successfully buys the pallbearers. He is able to use them at will and decides to summon them immediately. A tornado forms in front of Roll, and he is excited as he feels the pressure from it. The tornado clears and the skeleton pallbearers kneel before Roll. He is excited to see that he owns skeletal soldiers and says he received a good deal. He decides to test their capabilities and instructs them to attack some structures in the area. The skeletons awaken and carry the coffin that's beside them. Roll wonders how they will use it as a weapon and says what they do is familiar. The skeletons begin dancing and Roll gets angry. Roll lies under a tree with a leaf in his mouth and says the skeletons only know how to dance. He realizes their description says they bring joy to life and understands what it means. The skeletons continue dancing as they move around, and Roll instructs them to stop because their music is annoying him. He realizes he can't let his points go to waste and sees that the coffin the skeletons carry is heavy and well made. He then gets an idea and returns to his house. Roll goes to his father and asks him for a wish. Carter says he can ask for what he wants and thinks Roll will ask for more money. Roll suddenly says he is interested in agriculture and taxation and asks if he can become a temporary tax official to learn more about it. Carter is shocked as he hears what Roll says and asks if he is serious. He says it will be good for Roll to learn how the family makes a living. He agrees to Roll's request and signs on it. Later, several farmers and villagers make their way to a certain place, and some make fun of a man who is crippled. They go to a large windmill and beg Roll to accept their taxes first. A farmer thanks Roll for returning 20% of their food. Roll says they had an excellent harvest and asks them to use the food for the winter. He is happy because he is exchanging the tax collection with the food collection, and it took him a few days to regain the points he lost. He is happy to be in a mage family because no one asked him about the skeleton soldiers. The soldiers are convenient in working and don't need to be fed. Roll cries as he misses Alicia, and Anna says he will meet her soon. She says they should return home, and Master Carter is returning with esteemed guests. They return to Carter's mansion, and Roll gets ready. Alicia sees Roll and welcomes him home. He hugs her as he says his biggest reward has come from Alicia. He smiles as he says he gains more points when he gives her gifts, and she stops addressing him formally. Anna says Roll and Alicia look cute and tells Roll that Carter and the others are at the door. Roll remembers they have guests that day, and they're the Escart family's esteemed guest. They go to the door as he says the guests aren't ordinary, and Roll sees two Pegasoi. They are a mixed breed between Pegasus and Unicorn and are rare in number. Kane Heathcliff steps out of the carriage, and Roll rushes to talk to him. He introduces himself and says he has heard about his chivalrous deeds. Kane laughs as he thinks Roll is chivalrous, and Alicia introduces herself. Kane recognizes Alicia and says he cultivated her father. Noelle emerges from the carriage and introduces herself. Roll isn't happy to see her, and they enter the mansion. Noelle sits on Roll's chair and thanks him for the black tea. She asks if they can be friends, and Roll says they can. She sips her tea and she asks what he thinks of her. Roll talks about her beauty and says she is a good leader. Noelle says she wants to show him something interesting, and she pulls out a gem. She says it has the power to discern lies, and Roll remembers she is a sadist. Her future self is known as the bloodthirsty angel. Noelle is surprised that Roll is a liar, and he says there is a misunderstanding. She leans towards him as he says she is confident in her looks and asks why he rejected her. She wonders if he knows her true nature, and Roll knows her like the back of his palm. He wonders how he will tell her and pushes her off. He says he doesn't have an interest in her and her family and says he doesn't want trouble. Noelle realizes Roll knows she likes to watch people beg her, and Roll says she will be worse in the future. She steps on his leg, says he will do fine, and asks him to stay with her. Roll refuses, and they quickly separate as Alicia enters the room. She sits on the sofa, and Noelle says they are talking about their hobbies. Kane emerges and is surprised to see Noelle and the others talking. Carter is shocked that Roll can make Noelle, who is unsocial, look happy. Noelle asks Roll to visit, and Alicia looks upset. Roll eats in the dining with the others and is shocked that Alicia doesn't have any affection for him. He receives several points from his father because he was able to get close to the princess. He wonders what is wrong with Alicia and asks if she is alright. He says she can tell him if there's anything wrong, and Alicia asks if he doesn't like her anymore. She asks if he likes Princess Noelle more, and she cries. Alicia says Noelle is prettier and doesn't need to be taken care of constantly. She calls herself a burden because she can't even feed herself, and Roll realizes what is bothering her. Roll says Alicia is a good girl and has always been by his side. He promises to be with her as long as she wants, and she hugs him. Anna watches and is happy, and Roll says he is surrounded by people he cares for. He returns to his room and says the end of the game is based on the decisions he makes. As Anna enters, he pretends to be asleep, and she covers him and she says he should wait a little longer. Roll goes through a book on magic and realizes he has the worst tier. He realizes he must use the poisonous elixirs from the system, and it informs him that his body is weak and won't withstand it. It recommends items from the coin shop, and Roll says he cannot afford them. It shows that he has a 50% discount, and Roll decides to take a look at the items as the system calls him silly. It shows him 2 elixirs, but he says that they have harsh side effects. Roll says they are the best in their class based on their description, but he will have to save for a year before he can afford them. He remembers that Noelle's birthday is coming up and he has to prepare a gift for her. He says he must get stronger to get her a gift and accidentally finds a book. The book is for the Solofia Trading Company and how Solofia is known for their trading company. Roll goes through the listings and the system shows him an item it has that's listed. The item can be bought with points and it is a spirit calming lamp. Roll goes to the trading company and meets Armin. He says he wants to sell the spirit calming lamp and Armin says it's an item that people often ask for. Armin offers Roll 20,000 gold coins and Roll immediately accepts them. He wonders if he offered too much money and Roll takes the money and returns home. Armin realizes the mage family must have more items like the lamp and says the trade will help build relationships. A worker says the item is working better than expected and Armin says he should send it to the main family. Roll is happy as he purchases the elixirs and still has a lot of money. He gets back to the matter at hand and the system confirms that the elixir reaction is complete. He says he has already drunk the elixir, which doesn't taste bad. Roll wonders if the system sold him a fake potion because he doesn't feel anything, and he suddenly feels pain. He falls to the ground as he passes out, and the system says it is impartial. Bruce Solofia is excited because the lamp works and the undead are negated. He asks Andrew if he has ever come across such an item, and Andrew says it's his first time seeing it. He says it will be hard to counterfeit, and Bruce asks of the seller. He is shocked as he realizes it is the Asgard family, and Andrew asks if he is acquainted with them. He says they share a mutual origin and wonders if 20,000 is a fair price. Bruce stares at a stopwatch as he says the family remembers their agreement. He wonders if they are trying to hurry his progress. Meanwhile, Roll opens his eyes and wonders where he is. There is a collar around his neck, and Noelle tugs on it. She says it's the present he gave her, and she leans on him as she says she likes him. Roll screams as she tries to kiss him, and he suddenly wakes up. He is in his room and realizes he was dreaming. Roll sees Alicia beside him and sits up as he asks why she is sleeping beside him. Anna and Alicia are excited because he is finally awake, and he asks what happened. Carter enters and asks if he is all right. He swears to find the person who poisoned him, but Roll tells him not to bother because he drank the elixir intentionally. Alicia informs him he slept for 3 days, and Carter instructs him not to take elixirs from the store because they can be harmful. Roll goes to the training ground and decides to test the effects of the enchantment. He attacks the target and says he feels completely different from before. The elixir effects are considerable, and he wonders how much he will spend on leveling up in the future. 2 months pass, and it's the day of Noelle's birthday. He goes to the holy capital, and Alicia says she isn't fond of such events. They enter the main hall, and Noelle startles Roll as he says she must feel miserable about her birthdays. She says his presence delights her, and several people stare at them. Alicia approaches her and asks her to stop teasing her brother. Roll sees Noelle and Alicia stare at each other and wonders if he should stop them. He wonders why Alicia becomes unhappy when Noelle talks to him and realizes she hates Noelle. He says they are truly brother and sister because they hate the same people. Alicia thanks Noelle for the letter she didn't send, and Noelle wonders if she didn't want her brother to be taken away. Noelle apologizes and said she had to focus on her studies. She thanks them for coming and asks them to enjoy the party. Noelle walks away as she says she won't stop trying to get Roll. Alicia says she needs some fresh air, and Roll instructs her not to go far. She goes to the corridor, and several boys approach her. Roll wonders where Alicia is and realizes he hasn't seen the kid from the house, Eric. He realizes something is wrong, and Noelle watches as he runs through the crows. The young boy named Brown pushes Alicia to a wall and says he has missed her. She asks what is he doing, and he insults Roll as she asks if he knows she is a monster. He prepares to harm her with a fork as she cries and asks Roll to save her. Roll hits Brown with a chair and he falls to the ground. He asks what they are trying to do to his sister, and Alicia runs to him. Brown prepares to attack Roll, but he uses his phantom hands to deflect his attack. Roll grabs Brown's hand and knees him. Brown falls to the ground and the other kids run away. He asks Roll what he will do about his bullying, and Roll hits him with a piece of wood. He threatens to kill Brown if he touches Alicia again and walks away. Brown is furious because he is humiliated and pulls out a knife. He rushes at Roll and stabs him, and Roll realizes he was careless. The end. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.